my story is that I had a 40-year career in healthcare. I was a hospital administrator, executive, educator, developed a mini MBA program for doctors and healthcare professionals. And about about 15 years ago, I got very frustrated with what was going on in healthcare. All the work that I had done, I saw nothing but negative things happening to patients, to doctors, and the whole system was collapsing, in my opinion. So I vowed to get out of healthcare and never return. And I became a real estate investor, and I started investing in projects. And I currently have holdings all around the country, including just under 100 homes in Indiana and Illinois. My partners and I. It was in 2013, March 25th to be exact, when I was at a Starbucks getting an iced tea, and I had a cardiac arrest. Now, for those of you who don't know, the cardiac arrest is called the widowmaker. Only 7% of the people survive that. I hit the floor and I landed right next to a gentleman who was reading a book. Turns out this man teaches CPR. So that was angel number one. He worked on me. According to him and the paramedics, I had no heartbeat for 4 minutes. So I was 1 minute away from clinical death. They got my heart started and they got me to the hospital. And I was in a coma for 2.5 days. I was 60 years old. I was in a coma for 2.5 days. When I was in my coma, I went somewhere, and I won't take any time here to try to explain it. I'm not even sure I can describe it myself. But what was shared with me was the fact that I had a new assignment in life. I was being brought back. It was nothing that I had expected from that. Also, I found out it was in healthcare. So I was being put back in healthcare. And when I woke up from my coma, after my wife had opened up a prayer request to two groups internationally, she came into the room and I opened my eyes, and the first words I had for her were, "We're going to be better than ever before." Can you imagine that? It wasn't even, "Hi, honey, how are you?" It was, "We were going to be better than ever before." So that started me on a new road, because the next day I had open heart surgery. The day after that, I was introduced through my partner, business partner, to a project in Belize, the country of Belize, 6,500-acre project with an international airport. And what I knew from that introduction and the brochure was that I'm going to build a hospital. I'm going to build a 100-bed hospital in Belize. I have the background, I have the tools, and I have the mission to do it. So that's what I'm in my process of doing now. We have to finish the international airport first, so that's part of the project. But that inspired me to reach out to a lot of people across multiple continents and invite them to participate in my project. I've got great doctors, specialists. I have people of various, especially the alternative health world, who are involved with the project. And
So,
so I was pretty excited about.
Morris, can I ask you what happened in 2016?
Well, that was the next statement. So here I am riding high. I had stem cell treatments following my heart procedure, very effective. I appreciated it. In 2016, I was flying on an airplane from Mexico City to Belize City. And just as they started to descend, I had a stroke. Now, if anybody's ever had a stroke, you know it's trouble. But if you have a stroke on an airplane, it's double trouble. I was in the restroom. I made my way to the seat. I plopped down. I pulled out my cell phone. I dialed my wife's number in Florida. I shoved the phone into my seat partner's hands, who I didn't know. I shoved it in his hands, and I said, "As soon as we hit the ground, call my wife. She'll know what to do." We hit the ground. He called her. She called my partner in Belize, who had people waiting for me at the hospital when the ambulance arrived. I spent a week there rehabbing. Another week. Then after the week, I was sent to Florida for 3 weeks of rehab. After that, I had another round of stem cell treatment. So I'm well familiar with the autologous stem cell procedures. I've never had anybody else's stem cells, only my own. And so that was great. I was in a process of recovery. I was on a mission to get back to Belize, so I rehabbed really well, and I got back to Belize. Unfortunately, the COVID and the government situation there at Belize kind of shut down my project temporarily. I had to come back to Florida, and that's where I am now. About a year ago, my wife and I were introduced to the stem cell patches by a friend, and I said, "Look, I've been through so much. I have so many things on my plate. I've got a lot happening. I've been in the MLM world. I'm not sure I want to be there anymore. I have a lot to protect here in my project. But I'll tell you, I believe in stem cells. So I'm trying these patches. And if they work for me, I'm devoted for life. But let me see." So we were given a sample, a 1 week sample of patches. I put on the patch. The first night I woke up and I had a very strong libido. I hadn't had that in years. Like, wow. I think my wife was even more wow. So here I have this libido, but I also have a couple other things. I have brain fog, and I have balance issues. I had neuropathy issues. And of course, I had a healing heart, of course. So 2 nights later, or actually the two mornings later, I wake up and my brain fog is gone, totally gone. I am amazed. I'm clear headed. I'm thinking straight. I'm feeling great. And I turned to my wife. I said, "I don't understand. This is amazing." The next night, following that night, the next morning, my balance cleared up. I woke up and I got out of bed and I started dancing. My wife woke up and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "You don't understand. I haven't danced like this in 20 years." And I felt so good. I slept like a baby. And uh, there's no question I felt a difference because of the patches. The following night, my neuropathy cleared up, not totally, and still not totally, but the lessened dramatically, and it is still quite lower effect. Now, the reason I say all this is that was the first week. And so my wife and I called up our friend and we said, "We're not asking you, we're begging you. How do we get more of these patches?" She said, "Well, guess what? David Schmidt happens to be in Naples this next week. Why don't we go see him and say hello?" Went to Naples, met David. I understood. First of all, tremendous respect for the gentleman, tremendous respect. And I said, "Okay, this is for me. I'm signing up." And I did. I signed up and went diamond because I understood and my wife understood that how important it was to get this out to the world. One of the things we did was we took those 19 sleeves, and other than what we needed for ourselves, we started sharing them with other people.
Can you please, there's one more thing I wanted you to share about when you went to the heart doctor. Could you do that real quickly?
Thank you, Bimmy. Yeah, it's an important point. Uh, after 6 months of being on the patches, I went to my cardiologist and I said, "Let's see what's happening, with my heart because I'm feeling really, really great." Now, for any of you who don't know, ejection fraction is the measure of your heart's ability to pump its blood. It's measured in a percentage, and the average person has somewhere between 50 and 70%. I had been able to rehab to the point of 60%, so I was right at the median for 5 years. And that was really good. The doctors were very happy with that. So I wanted to see what the effect was on my ejection fraction of wearing the patches. When all the tests were done, we did a whole battery of tests, echocardiogram, Holter monitor. We did Doppler studies because of the stroke, everything. And he came back and my doctor said, well, I can take you off of two of your meds. So he took me off of Xarelto and nifedipine. And then we looked down at the echocardiogram and saw that my ejection fraction was 79%. 79%. And he looked at me and he said, you have the heart of a super athlete.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Yes,
Wow.
that's great.
Unbelievable.
Thank you.
And so I just want to say, I'm with it for life. You know, this is the, you know, where I'm going to hang my hat when it comes to stem cells. I had stem cell doctors on my board who wanted to do stem cells in Belize. Unbelievable. The patches work. They work for me. I'm sure they work for everybody.